Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗑𝗙 channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Apologies for the slight delayed start. My fault. Let's welcome Professor RV. Professor RV, Namaskar and welcome to 𝗑𝗙 channel. How are you, sir?
I am very fine, actually. You want to inform the audience any of your initiatives, ventures, gifts, articles, anything?
Yes, indeed. So viewers, we do still have Sengols in both varieties, one with enclosure and one without. All these are on sale for sale in United Kingdom. I'm talking nonsense here. They are on sale in US and India. And please get your own Sengol. We have a few left. We are thinking whether we should print them again. It takes about 24 hours just to print.
You are also
print the
planning to have some sort of a glass case or something, you were telling.
Yeah, that's what I said. There are two versions, one with enclosure, one without enclosure, and both are available now. We are taking orders, especially for India, and do get your own Sengol. And this is something that it will find the pride of place in your puja room, and it's a fact of remembering how the dharma was kept by the ancient kings and kingdoms. Sir, let's start with our topic. Viewers, unless you start experiencing it, you don't understand how bad corruption has permeated, how wide and deep it has permeated in India. And sir, I'll give you a simple example, sir. You try to do anything in any corporation, whether it is municipal corporation or panchayat or anything, just see what is the actual fees and how much bribe you have to give. The two are almost same, sir. The two are almost same. And the guy and also they make so many mistakes, especially in real estate thing, deliberate mistakes, so that tomorrow if there's a lawsuit, you will be in the soup.
Yeah. You didn't introduce the topic. You went into the...
Sorry. So
okay, we are going to discuss how corruption is making our economy into a high-cost proposition. This is very, very important point, which is very often neglected. Because many people look at it, corruption from the moral point of view, from ruling party, opposition party, and all that thing. But let's look at corruption in a perspective by which actually the cost of our economy is much higher than what is stated. Inflation is one of the major offshoots of problems of corruption. Now, whenever we talk of corruption, we immediately mention about extra money to be paid. Now, almost all activities in India, which is in some way or other related to government, other than, I take a walk in the morning in the park, that's not so far covered, no need for paying anything. That park is already paid by me through the municipal corporation, another thing, for taking a morning walk. And then I do some yoga type of thing, inhale and exhale. Inhale is 10 rupees, exhale is 15 rupees. That type of charging has not yet come. Except some of these, I listen to music or I sing songs. Except some of these activities which are personal and too much non-interfering, all other activities which you are thinking of, you have to pay a bribe or you have to pay a cost to the government. That is today's position. For instance, I have listed down in detail in my book on India unincorporated as well as black money and tax haven. Acquiring assets. If you want to acquire a land, a house, vehicle, anything you want to acquire in India, asset acquisition implies you have to pay. Either you directly pay or pay through the dealer. And for instance, when I acquire a scooter or a car, a service charge is added by the dealer. That includes the amount of bribery as paid to RTO and other. Carrying on trade. Any trade or activity, minor, small trade to large trade. For instance, a beauty parlor lady known to me, she is doing the business and she says every year carrying on business license has to be renewed. And it normally should cost something like 7,000 to 8,000 rupees given the nature of her. And she says anything less than 80,000 to 1 lakh, I cannot settle this thing. I have to. Then I ask her, how do you manage? She says, what I can do per customer, I have to increase it by some 50, 60 rupees. Then only I will be able to realize or able to retrieve this amount which I am paying. A vegetable vendor near my home, she says around 20 to 30 rupees she has to pay every day to the local co-ops or local dadas and various other, allowing her to sit in that platform, sit in that place and in order to do the business. Her turnover, I asked, roughly 300 to 400 rupees. So something like 10% of her turnover has to be paid in the form of this bribery. Now again, how does she manage? She has to incorporate it into the price of the vegetable she is selling. Per kg, instead of selling it for 40 rupees, she may say 42 rupees or something like that. So this is most important thing which we should recognize, that the corruption is not something which can be absorbed. It's not very easy to absorb it at all, unless it's an explicit. For instance, burial ground I went. Unfortunately, some elderly person in the known family has passed away, and then as we all went to the burial ground. And of course, one numerous thing before going to the burial ground, the corporation ambulance came. We asked for it. And our place is supposed to be outside the Bangalore. In those days, I am telling about, outside the Bangalore limits. So he says, sir, this is outside limit. You have to go to the village only. Villages don't have any facility of ambulance or anything like that. So anyhow, he was reluctant, and a lot of discussion took place, and he said there is no petrol also in my ambulance, and it is not very easy to get it these days. Like that he was. Then somebody tipped him some 200 or 300 rupees. Then petrol came from nowhere, and he was so enthusiastic, he would have loaded us also into the ambulance and the crematorium. So that was the nature of the prior to that. In the crematorium, there is a board clearly explaining that the fee is 250 rupees, including, I am talking about earlier days, 90s, including for that, what you may call the wooden stretcher in which the body has to be kept. It's a, what you may loosely call the modern crematorium, not the old style. It's a contemporary electric, they call it. And so again, a lady was in charge of that crematorium. So she asked for 3,000 rupees. So the concerned person, their party, they are all very upset, because of the death. Nobody was in a mood to argue another thing. The amount was given, and then the crematorium duties, and then after that, nowadays you may not know, in the olden days you have to go next day to collect the ashes. Nowadays you can sit there, wait in an hour and a half or so, your ashes, either your ashes or the next man's ashes, nobody knows. He will put it in a pot and then give it to you. He also writes on top of it on your original name by which you have given, and it's like your urine sample being collected, and they put a sticker of your name. Whether actually your sample is the report which you get, nobody knows. Anyhow, so we have to wait for an hour and a half. So two of us decided we will stay. The others went back. They have other religious duties to perform. So I asked the lady casually, you say per day, how many bodies come? She was telling, sir, you professors are very curious. Roughly 10 may come. And I told, every day 10, Saturday, Sunday also people die. There is nothing called, second Saturday people don't die, or all days people die. 10. So 30,000 rupees per day. Right? 3,000 basis. I asked her. She told, yes, 30,000 per day. and then per month how much it will be, and then per year, roughly we calculated 72 lakh it comes to. And very surprised actually, because how much you are able to manage this much. Sir, you don't understand any of these things. I get only 4 to 5 lakh. This goes up to the minister level. So this has to be shared. And I was shocked actually. Only 5 to 6. What do you do? She told I have put it in gold, and I have bought some land, and this is what every year I am to do. And she also told an interesting thing. To get that job, she has paid 15 lakh to get that position, with the oral assurance that 3 years she will not be moved out of that place. And she says, sir, you may not know, all the jobs in government today are based on this payment. The position where you are, suppose you are an inspector, where you are located. If you have to be located in the heart of the city, you have to pay a much higher sum as bribe in order to get that posting. And you recover that, obviously. And for instance, I have a friendly inspector. He told he paid some 20 lakh to get that posting in the heart of the city. And where a lot of these business establishments are there, where he will collect up the another thing. And with the oral understanding, 2 years, 3 years, he will not be moved out of that place. So the postings are all now based on bribery, and hence your cost of any operation become very higher. For instance, very simple thing like verification, police verification, some amount you have to pay. So which means your corresponding cost of passport and other thing is much higher than what is slated. And carrying on trade, I told you, identity establishment, birth certificate, death certificate, any of these things, passport, caste certificate, it's a much more critical in India. India is the only country where everybody wants to be declared backward. Every other country there is a clamor to be a forward. Here it is a backward. And it can vary from 100 rupees to 1000 rupees identity. Acquiring contract for roads, water pipes, cables, houses for low income groups, stadium, parks. Roughly it is 3, it used to be 3%. Now I am told in many of the southern states, it is up to 10 to 15%. Actually, there is one gentleman, 𝗏𝗍, he is not in the picture now, he became an MLA also. He was building a road between Bangalore and Mysore called Nice Road. And he came to my IIM and gave a talk on this issue of Nice Road. He told 1 road, 3 governments. That was his topic. First government, he paid something like 20% of the project cost as to carry on the business. Unfortunately, that government fell, and the new government came into. The new government told that you have to pay 30%. Those people you paid 20. And he told this is the way in which my entire project has to be paid only. I cannot put any road at all. And then the quality of the road people criticize another. This situation is in many cases out of control. If a bridge falls, you can easily say the reason is corruption. If a fire occurs in some factories or some shops or some, it is due to corruption. There is no doubt about it, because I know for myself, I was the founder of the Insurance Research Center, and we were studying very interesting thing. One fire accident took place, and the firemen went there, and I thought they are going to do the job of quenching the fire, but negotiations were taking place. What category of fire this is, because depending upon that, insurer has to decide how much is the payment to be made. Fire is raging, negotiation is taking place. Can you beat this? And almost all the accidents which you come across are all due to this issue of no need to repeat about potholes on the road and other things. So acquiring contract, and then free services. They say it is free. All the services are not free. Government hospital, school fee, electricity board, it varies. For instance, my servant maid always used to go to private hospital. I was very curious. I asked her, why do you go to in government hospital? You get free treatment or very low cost. She says, sir, every time a bedpan has to be removed and made, 20 rupees is charged. So if you add all those extra charges I have to pay in cash, I would rather go to a private fellow and then pay him in cash and then get that printed, whatever it is. And it is less hassle. This is the situation today. Availing of free. They are not free actually. Closing the eye service. That is another thing. You cross the red line, cops have to close their eye. It's an interesting thing I will tell in the 80s. One of my girl students, she was traveling and she was going in those days called Luna. One of those, some of you may recall, one of those cycle to motorcycle in between. And she crossed a red line and cops caught her and she had a choice, 50 rupee without, with bill or 30 rupees without bill. In those days, that was the fine. She paid 50 and got the receipt. She was very delighted. Her uncle was commissioner of police and she didn't use his name or anything like that. She never even mentioned. Collected the receipt and later on, when she met her uncle in a party or some place, she showed him, uncle, you know that I have been so, straightforward and honest. I never used your name. If I had used your name, obviously I would have been let out. But I didn't want to do that. And he looked at the receipt and found it very very interesting because he told it's not the official receipt. Then the investigation started. They found every Thana was issuing their own receipt on their, on their own letterpad or whatever it is. So the closing the eye service is also doesn't reach the not necessarily the government. And provision of government gratis. Government is supposed to give old age pension, then MNRGA, land compensation, fire. Whenever there is a fire in some slum or something, immediately government will announce an ex gratia. In all the states, this is very common. And then the intermediary will go of the ruling party. He will say your ex gratia is 1 lakh, but I will take 30,000, you will get 70,000. So this is, unless the intermediary is satisfied, they are not going to get any ex gratia at all. In many, the fee is after delivery also. That also, it's like what they call the ambulance chasers in American jargon. The fellows will come and tell you, we will take up your case. And then $100 is the compensation mean. It is 60-40. You get 60, we will get 40. And he will argue for you and other thing. These people are popular in the US context. Iyer will know more about them. Reducing waiting time, another thing. All activities in the government, jumping the queue, you can call it. The percentage varies from 2 to 20%. Sometimes you are in so much hurry, you want and the government itself made a new an idea of a tatkal. That means if you want to jump queue, you can pay more and if you want to jump that queue also, the paying more queue also, you can pay more and then get it done. So this is the biggest issue. Any human activity in our country, you have to pay. There is no other alternative. For instance, there is something called Shops and Establishment Act. Many of you might have heard about it, but not read about it. It says a shop should have a clean and acceptable surrounding. I go every day to buy bread for my dog. My dog wants fresh bread. That's another stupid thing. Yesterday's bread, no. Today bread only. So I go to buy bread. A shop is on one side. I am on the road in between a nalla, in between what you call a drainage
It's
thing
an
going
open
on.
drain, right? Bangalore has open drains. Yeah.
Open drain, and then wooden plank is there between the road and the shop. I can climb the wooden plank and get the bread. Now, strictly speaking, that shop should be closed as per Shops and Establishment Act. The Act says there should be sitting place. In which shop you have sitting place? Unless you want to sit on a rice bag or something, there is no way to sit on a small kirana store. It says there should not be rats. Sunlight should be there. All these are copied from Western countries and then put it into here. One minister had the what one can call audacity or honesty to tell in the assembly that if we have to implement Shops and Establishment Act, 95% of the shops should be closed in this city. Not 1 or 2%, 95. For instance, apartment, all basements are supposed to be for parking. Many of the basements have been converted into retail shops. Everywhere you go, there is something or other problem, and it's a closing of the eye of the regulator. So this regulation, Shops and Establishment Act, is simply not there facilitating, other than the inspector will visit you and then collect hafta. There is another thing called Food and Adulteration Act. Some of you might have heard about it. I was put in a committee to reform this act. I was wrongly put. Most of the time, government puts me wrongly only into committees, never rightly. At the end of the discussion, the concerned chief secretary asked me what should be done. I told scrap this act. He was shocked actually. What is this, sir? You are telling this is to regulate and people should not have any health issues. I told him, give me a list of people who have died eating in these hotels in the last 4 years. Nobody has died. Some stomachache may come even if you eat at home. So that's not the issue. So this whole act is and what happens? The inspector goes every week. The small restaurant, dabas and various other type of Udupi, Darshini, that type of joints, I put into an envelope 500 rupee or 1000 rupee and give it to him. I asked one of the Udupi person, why are you giving it to him? He says, otherwise he can put my shutter down. He has draconian powers. He can say that your kitchen has got cockroaches, which is common. I don't think any hotel kitchen will not have cockroaches around. Then the concerned government official asked me, sir, if we scrap it, what will happen? I told there is something called enlightened self-interest. No small eatery or these places will serve you something which will harm you, because next day the message will spread, word of mouth. Don't take puchka from that fellow. Don't take pani puri from this fellow. Don't eat in that hotel. Like that, it will, particularly nowadays, there is a social media. If there is a cockroach in the dosa, the girl will take a selfie of cockroach herself and dosa. And then that message will go in the social media up to Venezuela within a matter of hours. So there is no question of every hotel fellow will be worried about any misdemeanor or any deviation. His bill may be different, his charges may be different, but he has to maintain the issue of quality. Otherwise, word of mouth is very powerful these days, particularly with the arrival of the social media. Anyhow, they were not very enthusiastic because there are some 10-12 inspectors who are minting money actually. My estimate is, I have given the detailed analysis, on an average in a city like Bangalore, I am talking about 2005 survey, we found something like 50 crore is generated per day in the form of black money. 50 crore. I am talking about 2005. Now it may be, if it is in city like Bangalore, it could be in places like Bombay and other things. You can imagine. Worst culprits will be the land registration. the area of which is the land implies real estate, flat, everything. Somebody asked me how to increase the GDP of India. I told very simple: take an Excel sheet, list the names of all the land registrars in the country, from deep south to Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Because we should know one thing: corruption is the most secular activity in this country. People ask, what is the most secular activity? It is not anything, it is corruption. Hindus are corrupt, Muslims are corrupt, Christians are corrupt, Tevars are corrupt, Brahmins are corrupt, Jats are corrupt. Any listing you do, all of them are corrupt. So you list all of them in an Excel sheet for the last, say, 10 years who occupied position, including the peon in their office, because they are equally corrupt. And then you announce that these people's assets are all confiscated. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you a hypothetical example. Then your GDP will go up at least by half time, that is 50%. The amount of corruption is unbelievable. My estimate is, on an average, a government employee in a position to decide these things makes 4 times his monthly income. That is why, periodically newspaper you will find 10,000, Chapras job is advertised. A lot of people with MA, MCom, BA, BCom are also applying. And a lot of people writing about the quality of our education. The quality of education might have come down. That is independent. But most of these people are interested in government job for the simple reason it provides huge amount of extra money. My own student, I can tell you an example, was in a very good position as general manager in a public sector undertaking. He got job in customs. I'm talking about the 80s and 90s. He quit this job and joined. I was wondering, why did you do this? You are in a very good position. Over time period, you can even become MD of your car. He said, sir, you should know one thing. I will earn in 20 days in this activity what I will earn in 20 years in the other. He told me frankly, and that's the main reason I am, since you are close to me, you are my teacher, I am telling this. So this is the enthusiasm and interest, not that they are all wanting to serve the nation or anything. Serving the nation is the last thing which you can think of. So this is something which, yeah.
Sir, speaking of customs, remember how your cash in hand, hand in cash kind of thing, how Pinarayi Vijayan and his close associate were caught smuggling gold from UAE, right? You remember that? Swarna, Swapna.
They were allegedly smuggling.
Sir,
nothing has been proved. Nobody has been put inside, right? This is very
nobody
important.
Ever, sir. Allegedly, Pinarayi Vijayan is a primary accused in the killing of a RSS worker. Allegedly, the same person was caught by a allegedly IPS officer of Kerala,
Yes.
who now happens to be allegedly,
Yes.
No, this is true, who happens to be the NSA today.
Very important is you should add the word allegedly, otherwise your P gurus can be in deep problem. Let me tell you that.
So
right?
let's get back to this thing. What happened is, you know how it was caught? Do you know how it was caught, sir?
Yeah,
It was caught because in customs there is a rotation. Somebody gets recharge of a particular custom. So there is one officer. His name itself is Honest Ramaswamy. He happened to be the one who caught it. There are 4 international airports in Kerala, that small slice of land. There is one more in Mangaluru, which is right outside. You just cross a few kilometers, you are in Mangaluru. You cross 30 kilometers, you are in Coimbatore. That's also an international airport. 6 international airports. Just go and observe any one day what happens on a flight that leaves from Middle East. Sir, just want to tell you, customs is one of those huge things. Sir, back to you.
So my estimate is roughly 20% of our GDP, 20% of our GDP annually is generated in the form of black money. And all corruption is black money. Obviously, you cannot give it in check or something as of now. So this is the 20%. That means roughly 300 lakh crore is our GDP today. So 20% of 300 lakh crore will be something like 60 lakh crore. This is annual. Kindly note, this is not something like a block or something. It's getting generated annually and getting added to the system in the form of black, and black is converted into white. There are experienced chartered accountants in this country who will tell you how to convert a black into white or how to make black. Both of that they will give you good advice. The point is, huge amount of funds are generated. Now, what is the way out? Way out is what Europe followed after the Second World War. Similarly, in India, we can bring a law. Any person having a cash more than 5 lakh, for instance, 5 lakh amount I am telling, this is suggested by not by me. Pranab Mukherjee in his report on black money when he was finance minister, which was released, is mentioned there. Can be anybody having more than 5 lakh rupees can be made into a culprit. You are not eligible to hold more than 5 lakh. That can be a law for which you have to amend the Coinage Act, you have to amend the Banking Act, you have to amend so many things. More important is you should have a political will. If this is done, Pranab Mukherjee report suggests huge amount of reduction can be in bribery. Because all bribes are in cash. You find that so much amount of cash is recovered from a PWD engineer, or from chaprasi in a land registration, or from the police inspector, like that. And all that cash has to be proved, including that of this Justice Verma, that it is disproportionate to the source of income, which is an extremely tough task in India, because most of them will say they had land dealings and then collected this. So the Pranab Mukherjee report suggested to overcome this, holding of cash itself can be made into a crime beyond a level. After Second World War, Europe, some countries did have this type of a limit. Beyond that, you cannot hold, and that was removed around the late 50s, 60s, because there was no need to have that anymore at that point of time. Today, it can be implemented in India, all the more reason because our penetration of this technology-based transactions are phenomenally increased. Even a small vegetable vendor today has got that pay. You can pay through GPay or very, very, very small people also. So it's quite possible today to implement this. This is the only serious solution one can think of to bring down the level of corruption and bring down the cost of our economy. Most important. According to me, our economy cost in terms of most of the consumer durable as well as consumer goods would come down by 20 to 30%. Believe me, we have built a very high cost economy because of the level of corruption which is pervading our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And viewers, if you want to know a little bit more about how shenanigans happen in customs, this book talks about it. There's a very specific example how this is done. Many of my books have a message. I try to explain something to a little bit more depth so you understand what happens. And we'll take some questions, sir. Yeah, have a sip of water and then we'll start the question, sir.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. What avoid Boeing 17 crash as well? Is it related to somewhat in this context?
There is investigation going on. We have to wait. Currently, everything is speculation. So maybe in another 1 month or something, we will come to know of it completely.
Srinivas Kambhampati wants to know the root cause of all the corruption is the funding of the political parties. Your views are no, that's changed now. You can have as much money as you want.
Yeah, this is one of the factors in terms of funding. It is not necessarily the root cause, and because a lot of corruption by the judges and bureaucrats and other thing doesn't go to political parties always. So that's something very important to remember. Thank you, Srinivas.
Next question. Prof Electronics. Sir, can this corruption fees regularized in accounting procedure as we now take in the dog maintenance fees? What is your opinion on this issue?
No, that's not going to help. In any type of accounting procedure, you include this. It's not going to reduce the importance of it. There will always be a temptation to have more of it.
Manu wants to know, sir, autos were extremely corrupt till Ola and Uber came. Is there any similar hope for general corruption? Will big data help?
No, technology to some extent helps. For instance, if you have traveled in our train system before 90, you would have to pay the TTE certain amount of money in order to get into the train, and he will allocate you the seat and other. It's in those days, I am told that the cabinet minister at Delhi used to recommend who should be TTE in which station and other. Post 92, when the system got changed into this software-based booking, significantly this has come down. Today, my students say today there is no need for printed ticket even. You can show your mobile, and then if it is reflected there, you are allowed inside. So there is a possibility of technology reducing corruption to not necessarily eliminate it, significantly reduce it. That is what, like for instance, many of the corporations have introduced paying of the taxes through the internet. So you don't have to have any interaction with the officials in the corporation. So some of these steps are very helpful. Passport, another major thing which TCS has revolutionized. You pay a fee, of course. That fee goes into the actual TCS, that passport network. Otherwise, there is no intermediary or anything. You book through the internet, and over you are allotted some time, and then you go. So what I want to stress is competition can reduce. That is one which you have told correctly. But more important is technology can also reduce corruption to some extent. Thank you, Manu.
Manu, again, I think I was weaned away from corruption because we had moral class from a very young age. Should it be reintroduced in classrooms?
Yeah. You can have moral class, but unfortunately nowadays that is not going to be a dom. When you studied, perhaps you didn't have the social media, you didn't have the exposure to television, you didn't have the exposure to internet. So many things were there. And so you believed what all was told in the moral class and then tried to follow it. But today the situation is not the same. So by reintroducing in classroom, you are not going to change anything. Thank you.
Next question from Naresh. What about cricket, sir, as well?
Same. Cricket and Bollywood are the two largest black money generating machines in this country. I have devoted 2 chapters for this in my book. Iyer is not showing my book, but still, I am telling you.
Sir, I wrote a whole book. You only put 2 chapters, sir. I wrote a whole book on cricket and Bollywood and how this is.
What I was pointing it out to him was that I have elaborated how cricket and Bollywood, both of them, contribute to significantly to black money.
Is it in India, Anik, sir?
No, it's in black money and tax haven.
Oh, okay. I don't think I have that book here. Otherwise, I would have shown it to viewers.
No problem.
All professors' books are worth their weight in gold.
India, and also you have got copy, you can show it. If you have
I don't have here. I think let me just check 1 second, sir. Please answer this last question. I'll go and look for it. Just 1 second. Go ahead, sir.
Recent in South State seeks 3 crore bribe. add 0 for every pronoun. Unless system, no hope for reform. I agree with this. You cannot become a judge unless you have. That is why one of the parliament members used to comment that these judges and these, what one can call the press people are all red light and they are all the arms, ALMS, like they are 𝗏𝗍𝗍 of the earlier state government. And so this is very common. District level judges and other thing, you cannot occupy the seat unless you have got some amount of pay bribe. Krishna, you are right. We will go to the next question.
1 second, sir. That's the last question. Unfortunately, I could not find your book. Next time
No
we
problem.
come, I will have the book.
Next
I
time.
need to just search a little bit more. So thank you
Next
so much,
time.
Professor R. Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor
Thank you.
RV. And
Thank you very
we'll
much.
see. Thank you, sir. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Namaskar.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. How is the situation